Okay, let's begin. Another quote from Abraham Lincoln: I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea, and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of Thanksgiving. The first proclamation, Thanksgiving Day on Thursday in November. Abraham Lincoln. All right, a couple things I want to go over with you. On your grades page, you may have noticed uh, this morning, I think, just before lunch. Down here at the bottom, there's a score for your, or a line for your Scantron score. So let's just talk about that for a minute. There's a bunch of other stuff above their homework and stuff. So it's some number between 0 and 24. Unless you blooped up your exam form and then you have a -1. So the three modes of blooping up your exam are: you messed up your PID somehow. Number 2, you messed up the exam form, A, B, C, or D. Like you forgot it. That's why we're trying to, get you guys, watching you guys like a hawk. Make sure you bubble in the test form, because otherwise it comes back as a -1. Or you were absent. So if you're absent, it's not really a blooper. It just signifies that you don't have a score. Now, a few of you, we're going to hand back your exam printouts here in a few minutes. A few of you have bloopers, and it's going to take a while because we have a big stack of Scantrons over here, and we have a big stack of exams, and I don't even have the exams. The grader has them. So we got to go through those and find yours out of a big, huge pile of unalphabetized papers, so it can be kind of a pain in the what. So that's why we ride you guys like a mother-in-law. We nag you like a mother-in-law on exam days to fill in the Scantron test form and everything like that. All right. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to figure it out. All right, now what I want to do next, okay, students, we're back to the YouTube now. A couple things I want to review with you about your Scantron. First of all, as one of you guys found out, do not come up here and rifle through these papers. Only I'm allowed to do that, or the TA, all right? Otherwise, you're going to get your hand bitten off. Well, almost bitten off. All right, and the reason for that is not because I'm being a butthead or anything like that. It's because this is private. These are grades, and the federal FERPA stuff is really strict. And so I would get in big trouble if I knowingly, and whoever does this, I know some faculty, they just leave them out, let people paw through them and stuff. They ain't supposed to do that in the least. All right. So these are private, and so that means I hand them to you, and if there's another TA here, they're deputized to hand them to you. But that's it. And so that's why you got to get up here when your name's called. Now, some of you got up here a little too late. Some of you got here after I called your name, and we'll catch you guys at the end of class. Hopefully we'll dismiss a few minutes early today. And that's normal too. So, and just so you know, if I tell you, okay, I already called your name, we'll catch you at the end of class, it's not because I'm trying to be an SOB. Although being an SOB does come naturally to me. Son of a Brickner. But it's not that. It's just that we have such a huge list to go through. Now the other thing, take a look at your clicker or your Scantron page here. A couple things about this I want to point out. Okay, the total points and the raw score are the same. Each clicker item is worth 1 point. Now that's not your test score, but they don't know that. The Scantron doesn't know anything about the written problems that we have, and those are being graded. Right? So you're going to have this, you're going to have the raw score plus whatever you get from the 2 written problems. And those are still being graded and stuff. Uh, so that 75% score, or whatever your percentage is, 95.83. Dude, that's nice. Whatever that percentage is, that's only for the Scantron. It's not for your total score. But you'll see it in the grades page because I'll put your exam 1 Scantron is already in there. And then the exam 1 written problems, that'll be another line. And then the third line for exam 1 will be the total, which adds up the first 2 lines. Kind of like when you're income tax. You know, you write 2 lines and then add them up. Another thing I want you to look at carefully, if you have, if you've taken these before, you know that sometimes if you erase, your erasure is not that good. And so if you've erased something and then bubbled in the correct answer, or if you erased something and then and it was correct and then bubbled in the wrong answer, you know, we want to be able to track that down. So the way that you do that is look for an item in your first 24 where you have 2 answers in the student column. All right, it has to be marked wrong. It will be marked wrong if it has 2 answers. Okay, so anybody have double answers? Okay, 1. You have a double answer? Raise your hand high if you have a double answer. Okay, with the double answer, what I want you to do is drop that print off with me after we dismiss. And I'll basically go and track down your Scantron stuff and see if you really did bubble in 2 or you know what. Also, I want you to look carefully at the student column. That's you. That's your answers. And if it says blank, now that may be a blank. You may have skipped over it. But it might be, and you may know this of yourself, you don't darken in the dots very good. And I had a student one time, he was, I don't know, he just traces really light. And he had about 7 or 8 dots that were blank. So I thought, oh boy, this guy's got a really light pencil or something like that. And we went back and figured out what he had, okay? Does anybody have a blank? All right. Now I want you guys to drop your papers with me, okay, at the end of class. And I'll track your guys' down, or the TA will actually track it down. Okay, and we'll see if it really is a blank or if it's just really dim. And if it's really dim, is it correct? All right, and if it is, we'll add. All right, and students, I want you to think about that every time you get a Scantron printout like this back. Finally, I want you to keep this, because what I will do, I'm not going to give you the test form with all the verbatim questions on there, but I will give you a little blurb sheet with a blurb about each of the multiple choice questions, except for the formula matching. And you'll be able to use the blurb sheet for exam 1 with your Scantron printout for exam 1, and you'll be able to say, oh, okay, I'll look at the blurb sheet. I got number 17 incorrect. I better make sure I study up on that for the final. All right, so you'll keep these, and it makes a nice little mini study guide for the final of all the different tools that we want to use. All right, clicker time. I have a clicker question for you. Oh, you thought I was going to dismiss really early? You guys are getting, I'm going to have to start cracking the whip or something. I don't want you to get too cozy. All right, now, so we'll just do a few minutes of instruction. This exam stuff always takes a long time. Which is heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks? Ton of bricks or a ton of feathers? 10 seconds to vote. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh my goodness. Who voted for French fries? You know, I can tell. I'll be able to look it up to see who voted. Anyways, answer is neither. Sorry. There's your answer. Um, Now that's just kind of a that's kind of a you know that's a riddle that I remember first a friend first telling me or asking me in like 5th grade. So, but it's a way to introduce this concept. And this is a pull quote from chapter 4.3. Mass is the quantity of matter, i.e., how much stuff, and does not vary in classical physics, whereas weight is the gravitational force on an object, and it does vary depending on the gravity. You know, so now we're going to talk about that for just a minute before we dismiss. This idea of generic stuff, basically it's the number of protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons have about the same mass. And if you take a bundle of about 6 times 10 to the 23 protons and or neutrons, you have about a gram. Where have you seen that number before? Yeah, baby, Avogadro's number. That's what we're talking about here. The gram system, Avogadro's. So about 1 Avogadro's number worth of protons and or neutrons, you got a gram. Now, weight depends on, where you're located in the universe. You know, like a black hole. So for instance, surface of the Earth. We got this one. And hey, you guys, I'm going to start writing 9.8 without the minus sign. And you're going to have to mentally apply the minus sign in your equations. Because usually the surface gravity, here's the surface gravity of the moon. And here's the surface gravity for Mars. Okay. 3.71. Mars is pretty small. It's a fairly smallish planet. You know, we always think, oh yeah, we're getting invaded by Mars and stuff. So Mars must be about the same size as Earth, you know, for all those invaders and stuff. But first of all, there's no invaders. And second of all, it's really small. And the gravity is 3.71. Here's a surface of one of the moons of Jupiter, Io. It's kind of a cool, all those little dots on there, you know what those are? Those are volcanoes. It orbits so close to Jupiter that the small perturbations in the orbit cause it to flex. It's just like, tidal forces. And it's, if it was a lot further out from the surface of Jupiter, it wouldn't do that. But it's one of the really close ones. Here's another picture of it. And it flexes. There's Io, and in the background is Jupiter. Jupiter is this gigantic planet. So if you want to learn more about that, you can take Astronomy 2002 and crush it. So now, before we dismiss, just a couple things I want to review with you about our free textbook. First of all, I'm continuing to outline and comment in Chapter 4. I'm not done with Chapter 4 yet. And I know some of you have been able to access my comments. I highly recommend them. And I want to just go through with you some conceptual questions and problems that I like in Chapter 4.4. And these will actually help you to prepare yourself mentally for written homework number 4, which is coming up this week. All right, a student asked me, Dr. B, can we get them a little bit earlier? And that is not unreasonable. But for this week, it'll still be out on Wednesday, but maybe next week, a little sooner than that. But for now, these will help you because number 1, number 4, number 6, number 8, number 9, Number 9 is more like a vocabulary item. Number 10. Those are the conceptual questions that I like. And they'll help you think about what I eventually publish as your written homework number 4. All right? And now, the problems, I like all the problems except for these loony rocket sled problems. I don't like those ones. All right? And so everything other than those, some of them are basic. Some of them are open-ended. So, you might want to have a discussion in web courses about that. Some of them should be easy, like number 5 should be easy as a walk in the park because it's just like the homework. All right, so that's it for today. You're dismissed. I'll see you on Wednesday. Good class. Come on down if you want to get your printout. You didn't get it earlier.
Real quick. What are your office hours again? I